From Lakeside Village, Las Vegas, located in the Summerlin community of Desert Shores, I'm David Gavry, and this is the Lakeside Village Voice Podcast, where we dive into the minds of Vegas professionals and learn about their journey. Protective Force International is a full-service security company headquartered in Las Vegas, Nevada, right here at Lakeside Business Suites. PFI serves individuals as well as commercial organizations. In addition, they are qualified to meet the needs of local, state, and federal government entities. Their security professionals are the best in the industry, and they are committed to your custom security solution. PFI is the most highly trained and professional security leader in the industry, assuring that your security needs are their first priority. Protective Force International is on Instagram and Facebook, as well as www.protectiveforceintl.com. All right, guys. Well, thanks for being here. Thank you for doing this. Let's start by just introducing who you guys are in relation to your business, Protective Force International.
So I guess I'll start. So my name is Chief Jonathan Alvarez, and I'm one of the co-founders of Protective Force International, PFI for short. So I'm sure we'll say a lot of the PFIs to save 5 minutes of the name of a business.
Captain Alan Almeida with Protective Force International, PFI. I run the Special Investigation Unit for the department, first security officer with the company, and been here ever since.
Wow. So tell me, this is early in the day. What does a typical day look like in you guys' line of work?
A typical day as far as us or somebody like on the front line, right?
Sure, both.
So somebody on the front line goes to shift. They come in, get a briefing, very similar to like a law enforcement operation, right? We're still civilians, but we operate very similarly, answering calls for service, that kind of stuff. So they'll go in, have a uniform inspection, have briefing, get their sectors, and the patrol officers go out and answer calls for service and patrol out in the and throughout the valley. And then as far as us, we come in, get some coffee, watch some TV, and that's about it.
Kick back, feet on the table, just hang out all day.
Reality or dream-wise, you're asking.
Yeah, I mean, my day coming in, for instance, here, usually, if we don't have meetings already scheduled and whatnot, it would be, a lot of it is just dealing with a lot of the emails we get from clients and, whether it's investigations or just updating post orders or contact information, and dealing with potential new clients that we may work with.
Okay. All right. So what type of clientele normally hires a company like Protective Force International? Because I feel like most people think that, if something happens, we're just going to call the police. So where do you guys come in? Why call you guys?
So we're becoming that support bracket for the community. Unfortunately, our law enforcement partners are facing the same thing that many of the other industries are facing: shortages. People don't want to be police officers. Some are being defunded. So ultimately, what ends up happening is calls for service. So you want to call the police and ends up being a longer wait time. People have assets that they want to protect, right, on properties. High risk things. So they'll contact an organization like ours to bridge that gap, be the people who answer the calls for non-emergency issues, and the emergency issues, leave it to law enforcement. So we're becoming something of an enigma type organization where we're taking a lot of the support aspect for the community and helping out our law enforcement as much as possible.
Okay. And is there a certain type of clientele? Like, is it celebrities? Is it big events like football games? Is it politicians? Like, who is there a general stereotype of who tends to seek your services?
So it's pretty much everybody right now, to be honest with you. We just recently did the NFL draft, New Year's Eve, all these kind of large events. One of our biggest partners now is Caesars Entertainment. So we have our officers patrolling parking garages, bikes, assisting their SRT team with, safeguarding the strip. Another one of our partners is the Palms Casino. So we have our special operations guys, what we call EST, individuals who are a little more trained than the normal security officers, have military backgrounds, police backgrounds, and we're, again, becoming even support in those operations, right? So you have everywhere from multi-billion-dollar gaming corporations all the way to the mom-and-pop shop that is continuously getting robbed and wants some sort of visibility or response for their customers and, management or the shopping center to feel a little bit safer.
Wow. Okay. Is it a requirement to have military background in order to work for Protective Force International?
No. It's encouraged. It helps,
Okay.
but it's not required. Some of our best officers we currently have right now have had any experience in any security thing. Like, this was their first avenue or into the world of security, and that sometimes is the best option because they don't have bad habits from another company or another profession that we have to retrain and get out of them.
Yeah, because they'll get hired, and the officers go through an in-house academy where they get trained the way that we want security to be done, right? As long as it's legally, we have all the training required, along with certifications when they graduate the academy. So we have the perfect palette to mold somebody into the best PFI officer that we can produce.
Wow. Okay. So what is a typical test, I guess? What do you have to pass in order to be certified to work for PFI? Is it like a police academy type of a training?
So currently you need a guard card. So it starts off with that. And what they end up doing is a background check. This is at the state level, similar to like a TAM card or a license to operate. So this license is run by the state. They pay their dues. They do an open book 50-question test, which I think is horrendous. And pretty much you have a pulse, can pass an open book test, and they get you on, and you're licensed to do security here in the state of Nevada. Everybody knows I'm very vocal about how I disagree with that, that entire process.
Is it timed at least? Do they have a certain amount of time? That way,
probably not. I've never seen that. I mean,
that way at least the book can only help for so much.
I mean, I've seen the answers online.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, they don't even need to read anything. There's the answers are there. So what ends up happening is these unqualified individuals get a license to operate, and actually do security here in the state of Nevada. So companies are not required to do any more training whatsoever. Yeah. So
why is that? Is it
it's
some
legislative?
Sort of, yeah.
Legislative. So, and this is what makes us so different, right? I'm gathering people of like-minded as well, lobbyists through the chamber, and individuals who will be in positions of politics to start lobbying the state to change these standards. Security here in Nevada is changing drastically. We don't have enough police officers, and again, everyone is relying more on the private sector to take over and safeguard all of these communities and assets. Our entire base of Nevada is based on tourism. Our economy is structured by tourism. So why are we not giving at least security all the tools necessary to keep our individuals safe? They're doing a great job now, but we can do better.
Yeah. Do you think that somehow your type of industry threatens police and what is that known as, the government sector, I guess? Just, is there a feud, some type of competition to where, no, we'd rather just keep it with the police and you guys are infringing on their business? Is there that element to it?
No, I don't see it that way. I think if anything, it's more of a partnership. Because I mean, like here in Vegas, for instance, all over the country, but Vegas is down, I think, 500 or 600 officers right now. So like their calls for service are through the roof, and on the properties that we are contracted to, we can alleviate that workload as far as like any non-emergency type calls that they get that they could be dealing with something more important. I mean, granted, we'll still respond to emergency calls as well, but anything that we can do to help our law enforcement partners, we want to.
Yeah, like what's the highest level of emergency that you guys are equipped to deal with to where you can handle it and you don't have to turn it over to law enforcement?
So we make our own arrests. Civilians, it has that power here in Nevada. So we make our own arrests. We have the ability to write court summonses, CELAs, that kind of stuff, which we have to go through training through the police department. They grant us that ability. So what ends up happening is it could be any sort of situation, to be honest with you. We've responded to bomb threats where fake devices have been there, and we've taken over the scene until police officers arrived. Anything from massive fires to unruly fights of 40 or more people. So it literally doesn't matter what the incident is. That's why security is either usually on site first or sometimes in that immediate vicinity and may or may not get there before. So why are we not training these officers and providing them the equipment, knowledge, and training to deal with these situations when they arrive here on site? So that's a loaded question because I can't even. There's so many scenarios that could play out that we could get there first, or something can escalate into something else. Whereas a call comes out as something suspicious, and then when officers get there, it's a completely different situation. So it's interesting how it's changing now, the realm of security here in Nevada, and I'm a big proponent of adding training and adding some sort of power, police power on the properties where many other states do. So in many other states, they have different levels of security, and these levels of security come with rigorous training. So they'll go through extra training classes, get vetted even more. So now at the very top tier, you have very limited police powers. So you don't need to call them even for other smaller instances, which then alleviates a lot of law enforcement's issues. Because I was a cop for many years. I hated doing paperwork, and 99% of being a police officer is paperwork and dealing with very little minute things. Very small percentage is the really cool movie stuff that people believe it is, right? So why not assist our partners in law enforcement by alleviating that stuff, letting them actually focus on the violent crimes, the gangs, the burglaries, like these things that are actually truly being affecting quality of life here in the Valley. Let us deal with the nuisances. Give us the power to still deal with those nuisances and be safe about it, right? We're trying to lobby for protection against security officers. So right now, if you were to strike a security officer on duty, it's like nothing.
Don't tell people that, John.
It's the reality. It is the reality, and the unfortunate part is they're doing a job for safety and security and public safety, and there's no protection on them. So we're big proponents of protecting our officers and our men and women in the security field. They're not law enforcement, but there has to be protections. People don't respect security in this industry, so we're out to change that mindset.
Yeah, I understand that. Do you guys always operate at a 10 in terms of stress on a situation? Like when you get a call from dispatch that says we have a situation, is it like, how do you guys manage the stress? How do you guys manage that being calm in the face of potential danger?
Everybody deals with stress differently. In the moment, sometimes you're not really thinking of the stress. You're more thinking of taking control of the situation, getting all your information, figuring out where you guys are, is everybody safe, securing the property, and then it's after the fact when you're in that cool down process is when you start is when the stress starts coming in about thinking about what could have happened or what could have been bad, and everybody does their own thing to deal with stress, so it's really up to the person.
Like, does PFI have some type of, I guess maybe that's in the training, but some way of like you said, taking control of the situation? And perhaps maybe that's the background from your previous, you said you're a police officer, and Alan, I believe you're in the military?
Yeah, I was in the Marines.
Marines for how long?
I was in for 3 years and then got out on a medical.
Wow, okay. So that goes back to preferring that type of background before entering PFI because you already know how to de-escalate those situations. But do you guys, is it always like a worst case scenario? Is it always in the back of your mind, like what is the worst possible scenario to a situation that may just be like a nothing situation by the end of it?
Well, what we like to do, like for instance, just on a regular day-to-day thing, like to keep us sharp, we play these little games in our head. It's like situation awareness games in your head. It's just like sitting here just thinking of the worst case scenario of what could happen and playing it through about what you would do in those situations. So in the event something does happen, your mind's a lot quicker to respond to those situations. That's something I do. But about yourself?
I think it boils down to training, really.
Yeah.
The training aspect, and that's why we're so big on it. That's why we have our own academy to make sure that we instruct these officers, these candidates, how we want things to be done, how they should be done. But again, everybody does have different levels of training their own. We, at one point, had 52% of our agency was veterans, right? We have a congressional award downstairs that has that. It was a thank you from Congress having, that many veterans on there. At the end of the day, we do have people already trained. We have people, prepared to train in that. But again, it boils down to leadership too, right? So at every level, there's a different form of stress. Like my stress is different than the captain's stress. So I have to look at things from the overarching aspect. And yeah, those what if games of everything can go wrong. So at that frontline level, you're dealing with it, that incident then and there, taking leadership from your command, who is looking at a specific what can go wrong scenario and doing the best decision-making skills for that incident. And then above him comes the next command staff officer doing the same thing, providing them that sergeant with leadership, and then the sergeant provides that officer with leadership. And it's a chain of command, and that's how we're structured. So we want that everybody to understand, in the department, how that structure is. It's trained, it's hounded on daily on going up and down, and how there should be, acclimating to the environment of an organization like ours.
Wow. This episode of the Lakeside Village Voice podcast is brought to you by Z Realty and Property Management, located right here at Lakeside Business Suites. Z Realty's provided services include residential purchase or sale, property management, commercial real estate, and purchase or sale of a business. Z Realty best serves you by taking the time to listen, assess, and provide you with the most updated real estate market information to help you make an educated decision on whether it's time to purchase or sell your investment or your dream home. Z Realty is committed to serving you with professionalism and honesty by dedicating their time, knowledge, and expertise to ensure a successful and stress-free transaction. Find out more about Z Realty and Property Management at www.zrealtyandpropertymgmt.com. How did PFI get started? How long have you guys been around?
So a little over 4 years now. Started with Andre Scott, who passed away last July. So we saw a need for an organization like this, throughout the state. A lot of these other organizations are not vetting people correctly. They're not being trained. They're throwing them out there, expecting a responsibility and a job to be done with nothing, because we hear it every day. 100 to 200 applications come through our hiring department. We good? So 100 to 200 applications come through. Maybe we hire 3, sometimes 1. So, but everybody comes with some sort of story, right, of what the other company does or how we're different and why they want to work for us. So the problem is meeting our standards. And that's what's the difficult aspect, is meeting those standards that we set forth. And again, it's all the process. And as long as this process stays different from what everybody else is doing, that's what makes us so successful.
When you say meeting your standards, like where do you come up with those standards? Do you look at what law enforcement's doing? Like how do you set that bar?
So we follow suit on as much as possible as what law enforcement does, right? We don't have the same funding and budget and capabilities that they do to bring in all these experts to, go and take testings and all this stuff. But we do have our own method of those type of things, right? We have panel interviews, we have multiple background checks, the guard card itself. We already know that you pass the fingerprint test through the FBI database. So we still run things locally and nationally as well. Drug testing is still a big thing, so we still do that as well. I spoke on interview, and then having these officers for 40 hours a week, and that's in and itself, and throughout the academy, that's in and itself proves a lot of who a person is, right? So these instructors are tasked with also focusing on, hey, is that a right fit for our department? They may have passed all these qualities, but during scenarios, during testing, during all of these things, what are they proving? What are they showing? Is it a liability? And that's what we have to think about at our level. Is it a liability? Is it something that's going to affect not only the bottom line, but what our mission is in the community? If we don't have trust within the community, then we don't have anything, right? So that's what makes it so imperative to keep these higher standards, and we turn away a lot of people.
What do you think is the most reason why people would even want to get into this line of work, especially filling out an application with PFI? When you say you see a lot of stories, what makes someone want to get into this?
A lot of them, if they have a military background, is usually they're either fresh out of the military and are still looking to serve in some type of way to help their community. And if for instance, in my case, I tried out for law enforcement, it didn't work out, and I still had that empty void of wanting to give back and serve. And this was the best thing, and ended up being my best option that I would die for this company if I had to. It's changed my mindset on a lot of things that I've gone through in my life. So it's helped me out. But as far as anybody else, you have your military. We've had some ex-police officers come in, or just other security and other fields that are looking for a better company that is doing it the right way. People that usually are not, that don't have a background in security looking for that, they're usually the type of person that have that service mindset, that they want to serve. And not all of them are that. Usually some are just looking for a job, and it's just that's what they could find. But like he said, those get weeded out and move on from there.
When you say you turn away a lot of applicants, what would be a reason? Say someone hears this, listens to this, watches this, and wants to apply to work for PFI. The things that you turn away, what are some of the reasons that somebody would get turned away, so that someone who wants to apply and work for you guys knows what not to do?
Believe it or not, there are a lot of applicants with active warrants that come through our doors. So that is a huge red flag for us. We won't take anybody with an active warrant. A lot of people with felonies that are coming through, and these are individuals who have guard cards already that are working in other companies. So now you're looking at felons and other types of individuals who have a criminal background that are expected to be protecting children, expected to be protecting high-risk assets, residential communities, things where any form of temptation could be very easy if they can fall back into their ways, right? If they're not strong mentally. But a lot of individuals have, troubled backgrounds that are working here in the industry, and that's why we want to change this standard of just being able to hire anybody, right? We don't want to hire anybody, especially somebody who has a troubled background that precludes them from even owning a firearm. Because once you have these type of things, you can't be a firearm. You can't promote within our organization. Unfortunately, we turn away for that. Horrible driving record. That's a big thing, right? So you can't be a patrol officer. You can't drive a marked unit if you have a ton of issues driving, DUIs. There's a lot of things, substance abuse. There's a lot of disqualifiers that we're identifying within the process. And a lot of times pure laziness. To be honest with you, people show up, promise the world, and then never follow through. And we want individuals who have clean backgrounds, who are prepared to be on the next level of the security industry, who is in a forward progressive organization that is, forwarding the industry as a whole, being part of something that has never been done here in Nevada, and ultimately getting picked up by law enforcement, maybe if they want to, or going and serving in the military. A lot of our individuals, like we just had one today, he just got his acceptance letter to the Department of Corrections for the state and had to say his goodbye. He ends at the end of the month, but we're losing a great individual, but we know it was a stepping stone, right? And we're okay with that. The organization, the command staff's okay with that, because that just means that other organizations who are, in law enforcement, higher levels, are recognizing our officers and what we do, and hiring them.
So right now, this type of industry is only in the state of Nevada. Like a company like PFI is only located right here in Las Vegas. Do you have other operations in other parts of the state of Nevada or even other states?
So PFI is only here. We're only licensed here in the state of Nevada as of right now. We're in talks with other organizations and partnerships to expand, right? To grow the mission, right? But in several other states, like I mentioned before, other organizations are provided, these type of privileged powers. They call them like special police, where they're not they're not sworn officers, but they're security officers with specialized, abilities and powers. I can probably say there are a lot of organizations like PFI out there, right? But none are PFI. They have their own, best qualities about them in their own way, and those states are very supportive of what they're doing as well. That's why they're offered these privileges to make the community safer, and we want to get to that point. So to answer your question, no, there isn't another organization like PFI, because PFI will be the one that will hopefully change the mindset of legislators and change the mindset of the community here in the state of Nevada within the security industry.
I like it. So far, so good.
Vote for me.
Right? Yeah, he's got a politician aspect to him. No, but yeah, it's a thing that I know that the clients here at Lakeside, they see your cars, they see the dogs. And first thought, especially for a client who isn't familiar with you guys, immediately thinks, "Uh-oh, what happened?" Mm-hmm. And then when they learn, "Oh no, they are headquartered here at Lakeside," and then immediately they feel, okay, all right, they're nothing's wrong. They're here to help out. So, if a client in our building, or if anyone who watches this wants to hire you for your services, how do you go about doing that?
So there's several different avenues, right? We're probably one of the most popular organizations in the security field on social media. So please, if everybody can go and get a like to our Instagram page and follow us on Facebook as well.
Really are a politician. All right.
Yeah, you gotta sell it, right? And they can go through our website where they can put in like a quote, right, to be contacted, and it'll immediately get sent over to the sales area. But yeah, our Facebook page, you can contact us through there. Same with our Instagram. But if you truly want to know what PFI does in the community, because we're very community based, those social media outlets are going to show you all of the pictures, everything that we do, what kind of notoriety we have in the organization right here in our own community. When things happen and they want experts to talk about the security industry, they come to PFI. So, Captain's been on the news. We've had other officers on the news, and it feels like every other day we have some sort of filming, here at Lakeside. So it's been an interesting ride, and I know that it's only going to get better if we focus on being better, right? But yeah, follow us on all that, and you can reach out through there.
And is there a certain requirement, like you have to, like, do you turn away clients the same way you turn away applicants who want to work for PFI? Is there such thing as something that would hinder a client from hiring your services?
So, in average, it's 7 to 8 contracts a day I turn away.
Really?
Yeah. There's right now, just like every other industry, there's a staffing shortage. So imagine not hiring everyone who comes through the door, right, to
Okay.
facilitate, having some sort of quality standard within our department means that our percentage of finding somebody is very slim. So what ends up happening is future clients come on, they contact us, and we end up putting them on a wait list. We have clients that are willing to wait 90 days that are on a list right now for our services. And they're sticking with whoever they have right now for the time being until we can give them the green light that we have somebody in the pipeline, whether it's in training or there is an academy or somebody who's qualified to meet those standards already there, and we can facilitate the contract. But I think our biggest bread and butter right now is our patrol program, which are the backbone of PFI. We have a number of patrol units, that are patrolling right now in the community, answering calls for service like we mentioned before. But that operation, I think, is the future of security. So what we're noticing, and when we talk to these clients that have existing organizations, they're getting away from the on-site lower level security, right? They are part of the issues that are happening. Fraternization with criminals. They're not armed, so when they see a group of individuals and they need to challenge them, they're very, hesitant to do so because pretty much everybody has a gun here in Nevada. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. So instead of having a security officer that's getting paid $10 an hour, right, you opt into a patrol program where it's a monthly cost. We answer calls 24/7, which doesn't add to any more of the cost per month. But here comes a marked patrol unit with patrol officers in it, making $18+ an hour, $20+ an hour, depending on the rank or years of service, fully equipped, fully armed, trained, able to deal with situations. And they proactively patrol, meet with residents, meet with law enforcement, answer calls for service. They're opting out of having these on-site lower-end officers and going in with a patrol officer that comes on site throughout the 24-hour period.
You're saying a business mostly hires these patrol cars, or like a residential just person at their house asking for? And how often would someone come in and patrol, just a person's house, hypothetically?
So it depends on the contract. So it's whatever that client is requesting. It could be anything from like once per shift, so a day swing and grave patrol, and then at the same time they have the ability to contact us 24/7 for a response if they need something or something's going on, or it could be at like some of the more active properties that we have, or like it could be up to like 3 or 4 times per shift. So then you're getting like a almost 12 times in a 24-hour period, which is a lot.
Yeah. I want to ask Alan a question because, again, you guys are headquartered here at Lakeside. Alan's got a big red truck with the license plate Sniper on it.
Yeah.
Care to elaborate and maybe eliminate some myths, some rumors that people might think?
Oh yes. Oh, so one of my big passions is firearms, and the bigger passion within firearms is like long distance shooting. Long distance shooter couldn't fit on a license plate, so I put Sniper on there.
Were you a sniper in the Marines?
No, I was in the infantry in the Marines.
I see.
So
okay.
I still played with all the guns, but
I
wasn't a sniper. No.
Oh.
It's not as cool as you
Oh,
thought.
yeah.
Not as cool as you thought. Yeah. I mean,
Now,
I'm still good.
What are you guys' thoughts on gun safety? And I'm asking because during the pandemic, I mean, gun sales went through the roof, and I imagine so did your business as well. It seems like people a lot of those people were never had ever fired a gun at all, don't know how to use a gun, but said, oh, I'm going to buy a gun and I'm going to be a James Bond hero of my own James Bond film. So what are you guys' thoughts on how to be responsible? Any advice to gun owners, perhaps?
Basically, educating yourself on whatever firearm you're purchasing, like the ins and outs, how it works, all the nomenclature of the firearm, so you know if something breaks, what it is and how to fix it, and then getting training. Training is the biggest thing. A lot of people think that just getting a firearm and watching a couple movies is all you need to know, and that's not the case.
When you say getting training, like is it like if I try to pick up golf, like get an instructor, like some type of like go to the gun range and just
there's firearms instructors out there for different levels. They have like basic and advanced courses that you can take for pistols, rifles, shotguns, and whatnot.
I'm going to plug one of my lieutenants in. He's a firearms instructor, right? So if anybody wants to reach out for firearms training as well, we can connect you with one of our canine lieutenants.
Perfect.
Who is a firearm instructor, and he does the basic, advanced pistol course, both of them, NRA certified. In fact, he's the one who trains our officers on live fires and doing basic and advanced training for that kind of stuff. So if anybody has any questions or is looking for training, we can connect you with that aspect as well. And one of our partners, in fact, are one of our command staff officers.
Yeah. So yeah, like if someone who has never bought a gun before, what do you recommend they start on? Like, is there such thing as a beginner gun or a gun that okay, you clearly don't know what you're doing? Start with this.
So I'll take this one because it's such an easy firearm.
Okay.
It's called a Glock.
Okay.
I mean, it's
the 9mm.
The 9mm Glock. They make it in different frames now, different sizes. So it's about doing research, right? The size of your hand also, will assist in that. You don't want to get a giant, Desert Eagle that you can't barely hold. But in the end of the day, you have to feel comfortable with that because that firearm is an extension of you. So anything that you do has to feel comfortable. You have to know it as well. So the Glock has one of the easiest ways to take it apart. It's like 5 pieces, maybe, I think.
If that,
right? And it's very easy to clean, easy to manage, easy to store, and easy to carry. So I would always recommend going with a Glock for a beginner firearm. But if you ask him, he's got like
Mr. Sniper over here.
He's got like rails upon scopes upon rails upon lasers and like a bazooka and a coffee maker attached to the other one. And it's just, I don't know. I've always been a proponent of this,
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
So for instance, for while I'm at work, I carry a Glock because it's cheap. I know it's reliable, and like it will work 99.9% of the time to do what you need to do. At home, I have all the
like what's
fun
like
stuff.
the most exotic out there
He's got a
type
pistol that has a helicopter on it, so it flies. Like a pistol.
It just flies next to me.
Just craziness.
Like for someone who's maybe a gun, would you consider yourself a gun collector? Like what do you do with all those different types of guns at home? You just take them to the range? Like is it like
just take them to the range, shoot them, keep training basically. Because it's definitely a perishable skill. That's the word. I was gonna say fleeting, but I don't know if that's right. But same thing.
Have to stay sharp if you.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. We carry a firearm on our hip 16 hours a day, probably.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're not proficient in continuously training with it, we're wrong already.
Mm-hmm.
We're already behind the curve. So that's why we stress this training aspect, because if you go out and you get your CCW, now you have that responsibility. You are the one that has to account for every round that comes out of that firearm, and you have to be able to articulate why you did the things that you did. So it's an important responsibility and shouldn't be taken lightly. Mm-hmm. So that's why we're very pro-gun, but we're even more so pro being responsible and pro-training.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. This episode is brought to you by none other than Lakeside Business Suites. Located in the heart of Summerlin, an absolute staple here at Lakeside Village, 2620 Regatta Drive, Suite 102. Lakeside Business Suites is the largest and most elegant lakefront business suites location in all of Las Vegas, offering spectacular views of both the water and the beautiful Red Rock Mountains. Services offered at Lakeside Business Suites include boardroom space, conference meeting room space, individual physical office space, and virtual office packages. Office clients of Lakeside Business Suites enjoy a host of incredible benefits that you can't find in any other office suite in all of Las Vegas. For the convenience of all Lakeside Business Suites office clients, additional services located at Lakeside Business Suites include legal counsel, insurance services, real estate services, tax and financial advising, security services, therapy and counseling, marketing and web design, and many more. Getting breakfast, lunch, or dinner is easy when you have a suite at Lakeside Business Suites, thanks to all the on-site restaurants that offer a variety of dining experiences, such as award-winning restaurants where you can wine and dine on the lake, as well as casual cafes. To secure an office or meeting room space at Lakeside Business Suites, just go to www.lakesuites.com. What's some of the wildest things that you guys have seen in your line of work? And perhaps you might be even desensitized to where the average person might think it's a big deal, and for you, that's just you're just getting warmed up. What are some stories that you're able to share from things that you've seen and experienced in your line of work?
Probably none.
Yeah.
Probably can't share any of that stuff. Deals with a lot of
NDAs
and a lot of the backdoor stuff. So we definitely, it's what I can say is it's not how it used to be. Put it that way. Feels like every few months society is changing, sometimes for the worst. Crime is increasing in different aspects. Domestics are up, property crimes are up, violence. So we have tremendous amount of fatalities when it comes to traffic. There's always a consistent trickle of negative and crazy things happening. So I think that not being able to pinpoint, because a lot of these instances that you see on the news is possibly on our properties. So our officers are already assisting in anything that they can with our law enforcement partners. But at the end of the day, I think that security officers, fire, EMS, police officers, government agents, agencies, all that, they're in a different breed of their own. So, yeah.
Okay, I get it. Top secret. You got to be in the know. I get it.
Every listener would have to sign an NDA first.
Yeah.
G14.
All right. So we are in the summer months. And not just PFI, but police officers, military. What are some tricks to beating this summer heat, especially for you guys, because you're wearing all your heavy gear, long sleeves most of the time. I'm sure there's some construction workers and roofers that might listen to this and think that they've got it easy. But again, to your average office worker who's indoors all day and in the AC, you guys are out in the field, and you have guys that are out in the field wearing all that gear. What are some of your tips and tricks for dealing with the notorious Vegas dry heat during the summer months?
So he was born and raised here, right? So
Yeah.
I came from Florida, where the heat was
Swamp,
right?
Yeah.
Very humid. Coming out here, I noticed this dry heat. Your sweat completely dries when you're outside, so sometimes you don't even sweat. It just immediately evaporates off your skin. So I think the biggest tip is hydrate. Hydrate, and don't take 5 water bottles in the first 2 hours of your day and then don't drink anymore, because you probably already passed that.
Yeah.
It's a consistent trickle of water, and not even talking about it, I'm thirsty.
I had to take a swig earlier.
Is that not part of your gear? One of those Camelback water bottle, you know what I'm talking about, where the hikers has like the straw type of thing?
Not necessarily. When we're out in the desert training, or we're doing training where it's a little more apt to carry something like that, where you have a water bottle in our cargo pants or something. Usually the officers that are on sites that are patrolling by foot, things of that, we want them to take breaks. And if you're working all day, set a timer if you have to. And remind yourself, because we can all, and I'm a workaholic, I can get lost in my work and be downstairs for 12 hours and be like, wow, it's 2 hours I've been here. But at the end of the day, if you are one of these roofers that are listening, or one of these people who work landscapers, construction, set a timer on your phone for 45 minutes. Only be out there a short amount of time. And then those last 15 minutes, use it as a break. Go inside, regulate your temperature. They have some great resources like these water blankets that you put on, and they're really cool on the back of your neck because this is where all your temperatures is regulated. So hydrate, regulate temperature, and take breaks throughout your workday.
All right, there you have it. Before we wrap up, do you guys have any general business advice just on the business front of PFI? Again, we are an office building with plenty of all kinds of different types of businesses here. So maybe something that's just a general word of advice, knowledge, wisdom that you guys can share for other business owners here.
Let's see. So,
yeah, you'd be the one to answer this one.
Yeah. There's so much I can say because I was thrusted into a position to oversee everything, right? I was never a CFO. I was always one dealing in operations and getting contracts and dealing with, personnel management. Financially, I've grown tremendously, and it's literally investing in yourself. As a business owner, if you don't try and make yourself better for your business and your employees every day, you're doing a disservice to yourself and to them. And I will tell that to anybody in their face, because I try and either make myself physically better by working out, meaning I'm healthier, I'll last longer, for my employees. I'll have a better mindset, less stress, eat better as well so I can be healthier and learn something, do my meditation daily as well to clear my mind and prepare for some of these challenges as a business owner that has over almost 250 employees, and we service 300,000 residents in the Valley. It's a tremendous operation. So I have to be at my top in order to provide the best leader to my troops and to the officers that are down there. They deserve it because without them, there is no PFI. I have the best team in the world, and every day that team grows. So again, without them, I could not be, and PFI could not be who we are right now. Because they're the ones out there doing the work in the community, answering these calls for service, and focus on the employees. And that's the best advice that at least I can give.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Obviously, us, the clients, we all love having you here. We feel so much safer having you guys here. So, me personally, it's been an honor chatting with you guys and you guys giving us the time.
Thank you for having us.
It's our pleasure.
Thanks again, you guys. Thank you for listening to the Lakeside Village Voice podcast. For more information, please check us out at www.lakesidevillage.vegas. You can add us on Instagram under the name Lakeside Village Vegas. You can also check out our Facebook page under the name Lakeside Village Las Vegas. We have so many more episodes coming soon with even more amazing guests. So please make sure to like and subscribe to all our channels. We are on iTunes Podcasts, and we also have a YouTube channel, both under the name Lakeside Village Voice. Thank you for being with us all the way to the end. We'll see you again soon.